Good evening, everybody. Good evening.
I was like, I'm going to take the kid home. Everybody's taking a nap.
We still have some people trickling in, but we have a good crowd tonight. And we're going to get ourselves rolling because we have plenty of candidates and I'm sure lots of questions and not ever enough time. My name is Rachel Crocker. I'm the director here at the Albany County Public Library. It is my privilege to welcome you to the third candidate forum with the League of Women Voters. Thank you all for being here. Candidates, thank you for joining us. Always a privilege to host these. As a reminder, in addition to the people in the room, we are live streaming this, and we'll also have these available as recordings later. So if you know folks that you're like, you should really go check that out, make sure that you send people to the League of Women Voters website or the library website, and they can go access these and check these out at a later time. Thank you. Oh, and yeah, we're already doing, if people, I think we have people around, questions are rolling in, we love it. I always like to introduce this. We're reminding people of, like, I think it's so fitting that we have these here at a public library. People often think, people think all sorts of things when they think public library, often books, but really, right, the core of every public library is to connect people with information, and increasingly that comes in a lot of forms. But for us and for our local and keeping people informed about local issues, these candidate forums are a really important and valuable way for our community to know who they are electing. So thank you all for coming and participating in that. And I'm going to hand it over to the League of Women Voters.
Testing. Good. Hi, I'm Matthew Link, the president of the Laramie League of Women Voters. We are a staunchly nonpartisan organization specializing in voting and elections. And we're dedicated to educating and empowering voters. As you can see, I'm a man. And the League invites any men or anyone else over the age of 18 to join us. You can learn more about the League from our promotional table there in the back. And there's one other table in the back there, which is for candidate promotional materials. So if you want to learn more about the candidates on our panel today or some other candidates, we've invited anyone running for office to put their promotional materials on that table in the back. Okay, let's start with a tradition for Laramie League forums tonight. Any candidates in the audience or elected officials, I want to invite them to stand up and just state your name and the office you're running for or currently occupied. And let's start on one side of the room and then do the other. Let's try this side tonight. Someone take the initiative. Go ahead.
My name is Eric Henderson. I'm running for Ward 1, and I encourage everybody to begin voting July 21st and through the 18th primary date in August. Thanks.
Brandon Newman, current City Council Ward 2 and running for re-election.
Terry Jones, running for re-election for Albany County Commissioner.
Sam Buckwalter, City Council for Ward number 3.
Chelsea Matthews, current Albany County Assessor and rerunning.
Darren White, I'm running for Albany County Sheriff.
Pat Hoff, Albany County Commission, and I'm not running this year.
Pete Cosar, running for re-election County Commission.
Gary Welcome, running for House District 46 on the Democratic primary and then general.
And we want to thank everyone who has the guts to run for public office. All right, let's talk a little bit about the format of the forum tonight. Our candidate panel here will have questions posed to it by our moderator, and unless otherwise specified, each candidate will be given 90 seconds each to respond. We're giving discretion to our moderator to alter response time based on the question's complexity or any time constraints of the forum. But the response time will always remain equal for every candidate. Let's talk a little bit about our timekeeper here. We have a timekeeper to help our candidates stay on track and manage their time effectively. We're going to start with our timekeeper, Jamie, here, and she'll let you know when a question response time starts, how much time you have left, and then the most important sign of all, the stop sign. The stop sign. Our moderator may cut you off if you go a little too long after the stop sign. And then at some point, I think we're going to switch our timekeepers, and we'll let you know when that happens. Because timekeeping is the hardest job in the forum, by the way. Okay. So we're going to begin with some questions curated by the League, and then we'll move to the staple of our Laramie Forums, which is audience participation. We encourage audience members to write down any questions they might have for our candidates, and then raise their hand with question in hand, and a roving League member will stop by and pick it up and ferry it to our moderator. Yeah, just like that. Let's talk about a few tips for getting your question posed tonight. Number one, direct your questions to a given office. Please indicate what office your question is for. We've got 4 different offices in the forum tonight, and we want to make it as easy as possible for a moderator to manage questions effectively. And direct them to an office, not a specific candidate. And please refrain from personal attacks in your questions, and likewise to our panelists in any responses they may give. Let's keep our forum nice and civil tonight. And try not to wait until late in the forum to formulate a question. It's unlikely to get asked if we have a glut of unasked questions left. So be prompt and direct your questions to an office. All right, we're giving our moderator discretion to edit questions for clarity and appropriateness and pose any follow-up questions to expand on an issue. Okay, now a couple technical considerations for this evening. For our candidates and moderator, speak clearly into the microphone. It's not just for our audience here tonight, but our live recording and videos for the public to watch later, so we get nice quality audio on them. And right now, let's do the most important ritual of the evening tonight. Let's take our phones and set them to off. All right. And likewise, please do not record during the forum. All forum content is the property of the Laramie League of Women Voters and the Albany County Public Library. And more importantly, you could get yourself into some hot water with the FCC, which requires all forums to be broadcast in their entirety. Full recordings of the forum will be available through the library website and Laramie Public Access Channel 191. And the League itself, we're making an effort to update our forum listings on a weekly basis. Okay, a little bit about the offices this evening. Rather than spend too much time describing 4 different offices here, I want to direct people to office descriptions on the back table on the left side there. Okay, let's talk about our moderator this evening. We have Peter Parolin. He's a professor of English and dean at the Honors College at the University of Wyoming. And he's an avid Shakespeare fan. He also leads something called the Stratford Seminar Society. And in keeping with Shakespeare's wisdom that brevity is the soul of wit here, I'll just say Peter has moderated for us before, and we want to welcome him back.
Thank you very much, Matthew, and it's nice to be back with the League of Women Voters, and I just want to, on a personal level, say thank you to all the candidates for putting yourself forward. That's something I respect a lot, and I know everybody here in this room does, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for encouraging and facilitating discussion about issues that matter to our community. Thanks to everybody for coming out tonight and for the questions. I was saying to Nan at the League earlier today, I'm a little nervous. I don't have any questions. She said, Peter, don't worry. The people are going to have questions, and the people have questions. So I thought what I would do is start off, and we'll just go right down the table with a question that is for all candidates. And I'm also asked to change the order of respondents. So for all candidate questions, we'll start with Mark on the first question, and then we'll we'll modulate that as we go along. If you would just introduce yourself with your name and the office that you are running for when you respond to the first question. I'm going to put it out there. It's a
Interrupt you just briefly because we didn't tell you
Oh.
we were going to do this. We have one candidate that is not.
Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Merissa Martinez is not here tonight, but she has given us a statement. She's a candidate for the Albany County Treasurer's Office, and I will read her statement that she has given us, and then we'll proceed from there on out. I am running. Can you hear me? Okay. No. Lower? Is that better? Yes. Okay. I can't grow any taller, but I can lower the mic. I am running for Albany County Treasurer because I believe our community deserves a finance office that is organized, transparent, and committed to serving every resident with professionalism and respect. After living in Albany County for 29 years, I understand the values and expectations of the people who live here, and I want to ensure that county finances are managed with the highest level of accuracy and accountability. I care deeply about the financial stability of our county and the importance of maintaining public trust in how tax dollars are handled. I hold a Bachelor of Science in Accounting and have 9 years of experience with the South of Laramie Water and Sewer District, where I worked in financial administration, payroll, budgeting, reconciliations, and utility operations. This experience has given me a strong understanding of public sector financial processes and the internal controls required to keep government systems running efficiently. I know how essential it is for residents to feel confident the county offices operate responsibly and consistently. My experience as a small business owner in Laramie has also strengthened my appreciation for the challenges local families and businesses face. Running my grooming business has taught me the importance of clear communication, dependable service, and careful financial management, values I believe should guide every public office. These experiences have shaped my commitment to providing a treasurer's office that is approachable, accurate, and service-oriented. I am running because I care deeply about this community and the people who call it home. My goal is to bring steady leadership, strong financial stewardship, and a commitment to transparency to the treasurer's office. I want Albany County to remain a place where people are proud to live, work, and raise families, supported by a finance office that operates with integrity and clarity. And I have her phone number and her email address, so if anybody is interested in communicating with her, see me after the forum and I can provide you with that information. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks, Nancy. Great. Thanks to Merissa Martinez. And now we'll get to our candidates who are here in person. And so if you would start your answer with your name, the office you're running for, and here's the question. It's a big one. What values guide your work in public service?
Peter, 90 seconds on this one?
90 seconds.
My name is Mark Armstrong. I'm running for county clerk. Mark 1044 says anyone who is going to be a leader or an elected official should be a slave to the people they represent. I hold my values from a Christian upbringing, and I'm a sinner just like everybody else, and I'm forgiven by the grace of God.
Continue, yes.
Good evening, my name is Kayla White, and I am running for the office of county clerk. The values that I bring to my office is integrity. I love what I do. I love serving people. I work really hard in my office to serve the public with the utmost integrity. Every person that walks into the door gets treated the same exact way, no matter who you are, what values you bring. That's what I bring to the table, and I love what I do, like I just said. So yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kayla Marroquin. I am running for Clerk of District Court, and the values that I bring are hard work, dedication, integrity, as everybody else has said. I think that anybody that wants to serve in a public office would say that that's of utmost importance. The Clerk of District Court's office is something I think the public should have access to at all times, and transparency, again, as has already been mentioned, I think we have nothing to hide in Albany County, and so I take a lot of pride in being open, honest, and just working really hard for the public every day.
My name's Dwain Streeter, and I am running for the Clerk of District Court for Albany County. For me, the biggest value of public service is the service part of it. We do a lot more than just the record keepers for the court. We disperse payments, we handle child support, and one of the other things we do is passports. A lot of times we will stay late so that a family can get get their passports for their vacation. We help people get record searches done for jobs. And we, as I said before, we help pro se clients explain to them the court process so that they can get what they need done, because not everybody can afford a lawyer. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sally King. I'm running for re-election for the county coroner. The values I bring to this office are really dignity and respect for the dead and their loved ones. I think it's important that regardless of your background or what you have done in your life, that you still should be treated with dignity and respect in your final time on this earth. And so advocating for the dead and then their families to make sure that they understand the processes of the office, I think are really important. And then, of course, being honest and open as much as I can statutorily. But otherwise, it's the caring and the dignity and respect that everybody deserves at the end. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Fletcher. I'm running for Albany County Treasurer. I have a number of values that I bring to the table and have proven to the office and to the county over the 23 years of my service to Albany County. The first and foremost, as everyone stated, is integrity. Dealing with the kind of financial numbers that the county has, you have to have integrity to do so, and just be honest and forthright and communicate what those balance sheets and income statements and everything say for the county. Another one is leadership. I have guided our office, I've guided the county through difficult times in budgeting, budget crunches, there's been layoffs in the past, and we are at a point now through leadership of all the county members, not just myself, but I speak for the clerk and the commissioners and everybody. And that brings me to my next one, is collaboration and communication. We can't get to where we need to go in the county without communicating what our needs are, what's happening in the county, and getting the citizens of the county to buy in to what we're doing, or just get their input on what the county needs. And trust, lastly. We can bring trust into the county because it's something that is needed from your public officials. You need to be able to trust what we are telling you or providing you and the information we give you.
Thank you, candidates. I'm going to ask another one for all candidates, and maybe we can start with Kayla White on the answer to this one. If you had an unlimited budget, don't we all wish? If you had an unlimited budget, what changes would you make in the office, and how would that benefit the public?
Ooh, that's a good question. First and foremost, if I had an unlimited budget, I would build a new election complex. Right now, we're dealing with an election building that is small. It doesn't suit our needs for what the community needs. As you all know, we do early voting down in the election building 28 days prior to every election, and it's tight. And in order to do that, we have to move all of our election equipment upstairs into the election room. So we're moving equipment a lot. So that's one thing that I would do. Excuse me. Another thing I would do is, as you all know, I'm the clerk to, or the secretary to the Board of County Commissioners, and right now our commissioner documents are very hard for the public to weed through. They're 400 to 1,000 page documents. I would look at moving forward to have an agenda builder so that the public can go and pinpoint every single agenda item as the meeting is actually progressing through. Another thing that I would like to do is transmit all of my microfilm documents into electronic documents so that it becomes more efficient for my staff to do their work and also more efficient to the public. Thank you.
If I had an unlimited budget for the Clerk of District Court's office, I would absolutely expand the room that we have right now. We have one courtroom, one judge. I think we desperately need a second judge. We are so busy. We are phenomenally busy at the district court, and our jury room is woefully inadequate for jury trials. We only have one bathroom. You have 12 people up in a tiny room. We had lunch up there just the other day for Stacy's retirement, and I think there were only 5 or 6 of us, and we could barely fit at the table. So there's not enough space for us to expect our public to come in and perform the service of jury duty and just not have the room to move around, or privacy when you need to use the bathroom. I think that would be the biggest change I would make.
I agree on the space, the need for more space. But I think as far as helping the public, if I had an unlimited budget, I would waive those fees that our office would be allowed to waive. Most of our stuff, as far as like a filing fee and things like that, that's set by state statute. But if we had an unlimited budget, then we wouldn't have to charge a service fee for processing your passport, or a copies fee for giving you, copies out of your file if you're up looking for your divorce decree, or, something from the past if you're doing family heritage stuff. I'd also make the record searches free. Those are all things that we could just waive if we didn't have to rely on that funding to keep that stuff open. Thank you.
If I had an unlimited budget, I would actually just build a full facility for the coroner's office and hopefully bring in a forensic pathologist that we could hire full-time to do our autopsies as needed. We currently have to depend on outside counties and even then to Colorado for our pathology, and that's just, it's a burden on everybody. So if I could, I'd bring all of my storage into one space, all my paperwork into one space, and then hopefully bring in a pathologist. Another thing I would do is probably autopsy almost everybody. Right now, I do have to be selective about what cases I can do an autopsy on, and I have a pretty standard procedure just to make it easier. But just to make money not have to be the reason we're having that conversation. And then, simple updates like electronic things and a case management system and some of that basic things. But I really think a facility for the coroner's office specifically, so we're not using hospital facilities and then a county building and then another county building for everything. If we could get it all centralized, I think that would be ideal. Thank you.
I got long arms, it's okay. Well, if I had an unlimited budget, the accountant in me is first going to be, how in the heck did Albany County get an unlimited budget? That is a shocker. And I would pick myself up off the floor and I would start making my wish list. I think my first wish list item would definitely be bigger office space for the treasurer's office. Has everybody gotten their new plate? Did you all see the boxes around the office? Those are just a hazard, safety hazard, and it's inconvenient and it's very difficult to manage around. The next thing I would look at is, my gosh, my staff, it does an amazing job, but I think sometimes it's difficult to manage those peaks and lows and of when people are coming in, so maybe having a couple additional staff members that work on part-times during those peak hours, like the lunch hour or the end of the month, but then again, that also needs that additional space for that. I'm still just in shock about, Albany County having an extra budget. But that's where I would start with those things for the treasurer's office.
It's up to you now, Mark.
So, first of all, this is a pretty absurd question because this is taxpayer money. So I'm a small government guy, but I do have something I would give to the public, and that is legal counsel for public records requests. Lenny filed 28 public records requests, all of them denied. I have filed numerous, over 20 public records requests. When I saw something, I said something. So then I became the suspect of the investigation. I then paid $10,000 to get a public record where the judge ruled that the clerk erred in her decision not to give me that document. That document then showed specific violations of law, including but not limited to 22-10-109, which requires all keys to be sealed in an envelope. So what I would do is make sure that this county was actually transparent. And when people ask for public records, they are given public records and not required to go to court to do it. And if they have to go to court, they're given legal counsel.
Thank you. All right. If I ask the question about the unlimited fantasy, unlimited budget, I got to ask this one too. If property tax reduction passes, impacting available revenues, how would you reduce spend in your department? This is a question for all offices, and I guess we'll start with Kayla Marroquin for this one.
The Clerk of District Court's office, the budget is already very small. It's salaries, it's paper, it's printer ink, it's jury trials. It's something that we have to have by the Constitution. So I don't know that there would be a lot of wiggle room to cut something from the budget at the clerk's office. Like I said, it's written by statute. We have to have jury trials. There's no way around that, and I think anybody here that's accused of a crime and wants to take their case to trial, they have that right. So the only potential I could see is maybe cutting a staff member, and I would be very reluctant to do that because, like I said, we are very, very busy.
Yeah, cutting budget for our office would be extremely difficult. We have already tightened things up about as tight as they can go. Going paperless has helped somewhat. But, the right to a jury trial, and, that's just not anything that we can mess with. There's not very many countries that allow the citizens to stand in between the accused and the state, and we can't lose that. Really, our only option would be to lose a staff member. And, for our office, our turnover is pretty much based on retirement. So to lose somebody that's been in there for, I'm going on 16 years now, and the person behind me's been there 10. That would be a huge loss for the county as far as the skill set we bring. Thank you.
I've tried for the last 4 years to run a very tight budget without compromising the integrity of my investigations. As far as cuts, if we have to start making drastic cuts, it would be to like our autopsy line item. And then at that point, it becomes a matter of dollar amount and what value we're putting on that investigation, and that's not a position I necessarily want to be in. Like I said, I have pretty standard policies for cases that go to autopsy, just kind of regardless of the circumstances, and I don't ever want it to have to come to having a discussion with a family member that I can't do that autopsy that we all agree is probably necessary because of that bottom line. And so all of my other staff members are part-time employees, but I wouldn't want to cut any of them because the hands-on experience all of them bring to the table is invaluable, and starting over is really hard. So, like I said, I've done my best to be very lean with my budget. I usually don't go over my budget, and I'd like to keep it that way. So, thank you.
Well, this is an exercise that the county's been kind of going through for probably about the last 2 years, or since the inkling of the People's Initiative has been formulated and put out in the public. And so we've been kind of cognizant of that in our own reality. So for that, many departments have looked at what those reductions would be. One of the line items in my budget in the treasurer's office is the property tax refund program. Now, if your property taxes are gonna be lowered anyway, maybe we reduce that program enough where the ones that truly need that, and there is a great need, because I see those applications come in, and I see the income levels and the need that our community has for that program. I would never want to do away with that program because it helps those who truly need it. But maybe we can reduce it some where the ones that really need the help can get the help that they need. My absolute last place I would ever want to cut is personnel. I've lived in Albany County and worked at the courthouse in 2017 when we did layoffs, and I will never, ever want to go back to that. So maybe I'll retire if we have to go that far, and that'll save us money. Just kidding. But we as a county, collaboratively through all the departments, we have that great working relationship between all the department heads and the elected officials where we can find creative ways to cut. One of the ways I've already cut was mailing out license plates is hugely expensive, and I cut that by using outside services. Sorry, Jamie.
We'll come back to this end of the table now. Mark?
Oh, yes, I reviewed very quickly the county budget, and there are a couple places that I would cut. We spend $50,000 advocating against the public interest, in my opinion, with the dues to the Clerks Association. I would say we would no longer be a part of the Clerks Association because they usually advocate for more spending, more government spending. The other one is we lease $70,000 for copy machines. I'm not sure about the lessor of that, but all the companies I've worked for have purchased their copy equipment and not leased it. So I would look at those two very closely to make sure that they're money well spent. And just a 30,000 foot overview, I think those two could be cut. Personnel, I'd keep them all, including Kayla if she wants to work for me.
So, as Tracy had mentioned, we have been looking in the last couple of years of how to cut our budgets. It's been tough. It's been really, really difficult, and Tracy's right. I think the hardest way would be we would have to cut personnel, and we're a service industry. That's what we do. We service the people, and I don't know how we're supposed to be public servants if we don't have any people to serve the public. So in my budget, in my clerk budget, in my elections budget, the only place that I really have to cut is personnel, unless I cut every bit of office supply line and, I mean, down to where you're buying your own Post-its and you're buying your own pens. Because with Tracy, I was here in 2017 and with Terry, and we had to cut personnel, and it was really difficult. When I started in 2007, we had 19 people in the clerk's office, and I have 13 employees now. And that's a testament to being more efficient, looking at ways that we can do things more efficiently, and working with each other and working with the other departments. I mean, if it got to the point where if I had to borrow an employee from Chelsea, I might have to do that. But, you know, we look at ways of collaboratively working together, and we're the poorest county in the state. We'll figure it out.
Thank you, candidates. I'll ask one more for all candidates, and we'll start with Dwain this time, and then we'll do a few that are position-specific. This one is, how would you handle a dispute with another elected official? Not that you would have a dispute with another elected official, but if you had one, how would you handle a dispute with another elected official? Dwain.
I'd probably ask them if they wanted to go out for coffee or a beer and talk about it. We all have a pretty good relationship there. There's no real ego or issue from going from office to office and just, sharing what you have to share. I can't think of the last time we actually had a real problems from office to office. It would be all the way back when I was in the county attorney's office in 2009. It'd be that far back. But yeah, just talk to them, just open some communication, help each other out. That's what we do.
Yeah, I think currently the county works pretty well together. The department heads and the elected officials do their best to kind of work together and come up with a common goal, because that's really what we're trying to serve the community. So I think if I had a dispute with another elected official, I'd probably try to address it more on a one-on-one basis, and then if it needed to escalate, then bring other departments in for, I guess, moderation. But if you can try to just handle that and keep it not personal and just be professional about it, I think that's important to maintain those relationships that you're working with day in and day out.
All of our elected officials and our department heads within the county are very passionate about what they do. So at times, it's inevitable that there's going to be a dispute. And it's not necessarily a fight or I'm going to meet you at the bike rack at 4 o'clock. It's nothing like that. You just got to find that common denominator to find a way to communicate and see each other's points and respect each other's viewpoints. Because 9 times out of 10, I'm going to tell you, if there is a dispute, it's at budget time. Because everybody wants what they want for their office. And that is just natural, to be passionate and fight for your own people, fight for your own job duties, and do that. And you just have to respect that other person and sit down one-on-one and discuss, hey, this is an issue here, but what's your resolution? And maybe you can find a common ground. Maybe you can't. Maybe you disagree to disagree, but you still respect that person for wanting to protect what they do and their people.
There should be no disagreements between public employees. I've been in very stressful situations, blowouts, company men. We run budgets that are $1 million a day. You have companies that come in, you have to track all of that. Worked on some huge projects. I've never had a disagreement with another employee. So I do expect other government officials to obey the law and to hold to the highest ethical standards. I've had people dismissed for not doing that, and that includes things they did that endangered human health. And exposing people to vinyl chloride, for example, allowing that to go into a blue ribbon trout stream. And so there should be a way to always get along, love thy neighbor, and that's a credo in my life.
What I would do if there was a dispute with another elected official or colleague, in the 4 years that I've been elected, I haven't had any disputes, but we always have disagreements. And I'm going to echo Tracy, it's usually during budget time, but we have always come together for the betterment of the county. And not for ourselves. We have to think about our staffs. We have to think about the people that we serve. But really just getting down to having a conversation, agreeing to disagree, knowing that, you know, I might think that my viewpoint is more important and they might think theirs is, but bottom line is that we all have to work together. And so you come to an agreement to work together, and that's that.
I think it's really going to depend on the nature of the dispute. If you don't like the way I wear my hair or what color shirt I'm wearing, you're going to have to figure that out on your own. But, you know, if you have a genuine problem with the way I'm treating my employees or the way I'm handling something to do with the public, then I want to hear that, and I want to sit down, I want to have a conversation, I want to listen. You know, I really do want to work it out like adults, and I think that's just what adults do. You sit, you talk, you get down to the nitty-gritty, and you figure it out. So that's, I think, how I would handle it.
Okay, thank you. Let's do a couple of questions for the county clerk candidates. Here's one. And we'll want to start with Kayla on the first one and Mark on the second one? All right. How would you ensure that all eligible voters have the opportunity to vote?
Well, all eligible voters have the opportunity to vote. Of course, when you register to vote, you provide the documentation to show your eligibility. Wyoming driver's license, you have to prove your citizenship. You also have to prove your residency in the state of Wyoming. Up until this last year, there were no residency requirements in the state of Wyoming. And due to those residency requirements, I mean, all eligible voters are eligible to vote. We are open 9 to 5 Monday through Friday for people to come in and register. We do voter registration drives the best that we can. And we follow the law, the laws that are put in front of us. We do every opportunity we can to educate the public about voting. We do that. Yeah, that's what I would do. Thank you.
Interesting question. So Taylor Haynes matriculates into the state of Wyoming. A lot of other people do that. Taylor has been stripped from the voter roll. He's been an active member of the Republican Party for 30 years, and now he cannot vote in this county. I would, first day, I'll put him back on the voter roll. He's a smart, intelligent man. Yeah, he's black. I have no idea why he cannot vote. He matriculates into this county as other people do, and he lays his head down in Colorado. I believe the law says if you matriculate, and there are case laws to that effect, you are allowed to vote in the state that you matriculate into. And so first day, Taylor Haynes will go back on the voter roll. If somebody wants to sue me for it, let him have it. He's been in this county, an active member of this community for over 30 years. He needs the right to vote.
All right, I have one more question for these two candidates.
Could we make a time switch, please? Timekeeper switch.
Thanks, Jamie. Okay. Thank you for the great job you're doing keeping time. Okay, candidates. And we'll start with Mark this time. What issues do you see coming, and how will you handle them with regard to, this is a multi-part, mail-in voting, drop boxes, and voting machines? What issues do you see coming, and how will you handle them?
I believe that the law is clear on drop boxes. I think we are one of 9 counties that violate the law. When it comes to drop boxes, it says hand to the clerk. Putting it in a box outside is not handing it to the clerk. Mail-in ballots should be restricted to military and other people. I know people for a fact that mail in their ballots here and vote somewhere else. I've turned it in. It's an issue. It needs to be cleared up. One vote, day of, that would be ideal. So, could you repeat the question for me one time, please?
What issues do you see coming? How will you handle them regarding mail-in voting, drop boxes, and voting machines?
So, voting machines, I asked for the 2020 video of the room. I believe there's evidence there that they can be tampered with. So I would go to paper and hand counting if at all possible. I want everybody's vote to count, but I only want valid votes to count.
I think I've got the question. I wrote it down. In regards to mail-in voting, Wyoming law allows for no excuse absentee. Until that law changes, I will follow the law to the T. What that means is that anybody that wants to vote absentee has the right to vote absentee. They have to request that absentee ballot through our office. If you want to pick up your ballot, you can do that. You have to show ID in order to do that. In terms of drop boxes, it's been interpreted by 9 county attorneys across the state that it doesn't prohibit it in the law, it doesn't state it in the law, therefore it's silent. And actually this year, which is really kind of exciting, we are going to live stream our Dropbox. So you'll be able to watch it for the whole 28 days, 24/7. And then voting machines, we actually just spent about 12 hours yesterday doing our official test of voting equipment. I had 3 people from the public show up. If you don't trust the machines, show up. We go through every single process. We run every single ballot. We audit those ballots. And actually, it was passed in 2026 legislation that we will do a hand count audit within 9 days after the primary and general election of 5% of the ballots cast in those 2 elections.
Okay, great. Let's go to a couple of questions for our Clerk of District Court candidates. And maybe we start with you on the first one, Kayla. This sounds to me an informational one. How many criminal jury trials has Albany County had in the last year?
Okay, I'll have to think about this real quick here. We have had, I would say, at least in the last year, five, maybe more, criminal trials, and at least that many civil trials as well. It's a hard question to be put on the spot to think about.
Okay.
I mean, I think just since the beginning of 2025, we've done 3 criminal trials, so we're a busy court.
Okay.
I think that's correct. Probably 4 or 5. I know I've clerked 2 so far this year. So yeah, and the civils probably spot on too. It's kind of a sporadic event, but I would say we probably average a jury trial about every 6 weeks or so, 6 to 8 weeks, right in that neighborhood.
Great. And then Dwain, you can be the first one to have a crack at this one. Can you give an example of a time you have had to adapt modern technology? What were the challenges? How did you overcome them? And I will throw in an added question here. Why is it important for the district court clerk to be able to do so?
So Albany County has been at the forefront of the technology change for the Wyoming courts. We volunteer ourselves as a test court for the FCE program. When they went back into that, we got off the Y-User and FCE because Y-User wasn't supported anymore by the people who had made it. And FCE was compatible, Full Court Enterprises, which was compatible with File and Serve Express, which is the new way that attorneys can file online. We volunteer to be that court that accepts that challenge because our court is busy enough to where they get a chance to iron out all the bugs, but we're not so busy that it brings the whole system down if something doesn't work. We like to volunteer because it also ensures that we get attention from the Supreme Court when something goes wrong. And it's something I plan to continue if I'm elected as Clerk of District Court. Things that are coming in the future will probably be record searches from home, with something I wholly support. There's going to be some things along with that that's going to show up, such as confidentiality. Most of what we do is public record. Some parts of it aren't. One of our jobs is going to be to make sure that when something is in the record, that if it's a confidential document, we alert the people who filed it so that they can get it corrected. Thank you.
I started as a judicial assistant 7 years ago, and there was not a current judicial assistant in the job when I started. So I was thrown into it. I had to learn on the spot. The only and easiest way to figure it out is to just use it. You use the system every day. You use it multiple times a day. I mean, hundreds of searches, hundreds of different ways to look up a case, look up a litigant, and I think that's the easiest way to overcome any hurdles as far as new technology. And Dwain's correct, we are at the forefront. Stacy, our clerk that retired today, she's been on committees, she's advocated for us to be, right there, rolling it out so that Albany County has a loud voice when it comes to court technology. We get our questions answered. We are the best at using it. And I would absolutely continue to, be on a committee, be on any panel, anything that the Supreme Court wants as far as continuing to have that voice for us in Albany County.
Okay, great. I have one card with questions for the coroner. It does have 2 questions on it. Sally, you can answer first to both of them.
Perfect. Thank you.
So the first question is, have you ever been in an on-call position?
Yes.
You can do whatever you want with that.
Okay. So the way the office works is I am on call 24/7. When I take the occasional vacation or appointments or events like this, I do have deputies that take over that on-call time. But I carry 2 cell phones 24/7. I tell family members that call me. If it's in the middle of the night, because, people don't die from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So, we're making hard phone calls. We're having hard conversations in the middle of the night in different time zones. With the community we live in, we have so many family members that are actually out of state, out of our time zone. And so I would say yes, it's an on-call position, it really is. I do have office work that I do, but I'm primarily attached to my phone, so.
Great. And the second question is, what is your comfort level with handling and taking possession of bodies in various states of decomposition? We're getting real here.
Okay. These questions are always hard to answer because I don't want to gross people out. I have seen the variety. I've seen the variety of decomposition. I've seen very, very fresh bodies, and I've seen people who have been down for a couple months. I make sure we do it in the safest way possible. Once you get into a decomposition situation, we do have a biohazard kind of situation, so I have PPE for my people, but then also we have a great working relationship with the police departments and the sheriff's office and the Laramie Fire Department. And so if it becomes a big enough biohazard situation, we do call in the big guns to help us. But it's definitely, we are a hands-on office. I've trained all my deputies to be hands-on. We do not anticipate law enforcement or anybody else to do our jobs for us. And I have also encouraged, if somebody is a little bit grossed out, then they just can take a break and we can try again later. But I know everybody has their own capacities. But as far as personally, I have dealt with all of it, and I have my own shortcomings, but I find a way to overcome when I need to.
Okay, thank you. That brings us to the treasurer, Tracy. And so I will ask you a really succinct question here. It says, property tax cut, yes or no, and why?
Wow, I don't know. Can I get the dead body question? I'll answer that one. I will run the other way, which is what I want to do now. No, in all seriousness, it's a fine, hard line to walk. I am a taxpayer. I own property in this county. That hat, absolutely want no taxes. You know, I've got enough bills in my own personal household. But for the county, I know what the services mean to our community. It means we have Officer Gallegos back there protecting us. It means when we need our loved one cared for at a bad time, we have a coroner to care for them in a very dignant way. It means the fireman's going to show up when my house is on fire. All of these services really have to be funded somehow, and that's how property taxes work. It's a group of people pooling their money together to afford services they couldn't otherwise afford on their own, such as roads. I live on a private road. My husband back there, bless his heart, he maintains that road, and we do it at our own expense. It's a private road. We don't expect anybody else to do it for us. But there's not a lot of private roads everywhere in Albany County, and at last count, it was over $1 million a mile to pave a road.
Okay.
Who's going to pay for that? So, yes.
Okay.
And no.
This next question, there's a couple questions in here. How much revenue does a penny of sales tax raise roughly, and how much property tax revenue will be lost in the People's Initiative? So how much revenue does a penny of sales tax raise roughly, and how much property tax revenue will be lost in the People's Initiative?
And that was for Sally? Sorry. All right, I'm a number nerd. I can get into this. So 1 penny of sales tax is about $1 million to $1.5 million to the county. If you just look what our fifth penny tax collections are, that is 1 penny right there. Those are important amounts of taxes that fund a lot of different things for both us and the city of Laramie. Property tax, a People's Initiative, initially, it sounds scary. 50% of property taxes are going to go away. But we have a really amazing county assessor, Chelsea Matthews, who does these calculations. I think she doesn't ever sleep. But the People's Initiative is kind of written pretty fine print, and I don't know if everybody's had an opportunity to read it. It's not 50% off your total property. So Brandon, you're not getting 50% off of your entire property. You're getting it off your dwelling, your home improvement. You're not getting it off your land. You have to apply for that. Did you know you had to apply for that, Brandon? But those are the things that make that a little less burdensome on all the taxing agencies. Albany County government alone is probably about $500,000 to $600,000 for what that loss would be. Countywide, I want to phone a friend. I'm looking right at her. I'm not sure with all the taxing agencies of the school district and everybody off the top of my head. I'd have to look that number up, and I would be happy if anybody wants to reach out for that number.
Okay, great. Let's go back to a couple of questions for everybody at the table. And so Sally, we're up for you to be the first one to answer this one. Would you define success in the office to which you are seeking election? What does success look like?
Okay. I would say success is it's not even finding the exact cause and manner of death. That's my goal. It would be awesome, but I can do all the investigation, and I'm still putting my best foot forward saying this is what I think the most likely situation is that happened. It's not always clear. So I define success as comforting a family and making sure their loved one was taken care of properly and respectfully, but then also that the family felt supported through the process. Like I said, I try to make myself available to family members all the time and try my best to answer their questions. If I can't answer them, I try to find them or find somebody who can answer those questions. And I mean, we are talking philosophical sometimes, but if it's just really admin questions, I think a successful case for me is to be able to come with a cause and manner of death and have the family feel comforted in the end and understand the whole process and what was done, and that they weren't left in the dark halfway through.
No lines at the end of the month. Pretty easy. We get very busy at the end of the month because the majority of our county, a lot of people here get paid at the end of the month or the beginning of the month. So it's natural for people to come and pay those sales, or all their sales tax, property tax, or motor vehicle registration fees at the end of the month. So we do get a little busy. The less lines that we have, that means the office is doing a good job. They're working efficiently and they're helping people. However, I don't ever want anybody to rush through a transaction just because we have a line out the door. Everybody gets that individualized service and should get that individualized service as needed. I want everybody to leave knowing that they felt like they were taken care of, that they got all the answers that they were looking for, they got the license plates or the receipts or whatever they needed. So for me, for our taxpayers and our constituents to be happy with the service they received in my office, that is the maximum success.
This is an interesting question. So Albany County has the highest poverty rate in the state. It's double the national average. It would be a great pleasure of mine to reduce poverty in this county. I think a good government that governs less, invites businesses in, brings business to the county instead of dissuading that. My wife and I were going to buy Fox Run. We needed a sewer. We were going to be the seed money for 780 homes. 30% of those would have been low-income homes. We couldn't get sewer. You don't build 780 homes without a sewer line. So we bought Snowy Mountain Lodge. If government did their job, there would be more business here. There wouldn't be a housing crisis. We need a government that governs less, and man is bigger.
When I think about success in my office, it's being available to the public. It is my employees serving people with dignity and respect when they come into my office. Probably the most proudest thing is when a customer emails me later on about how well one of my staff has helped them out when they've had a loved one pass away and they had to come in and transfer a title, and it was really difficult for them. Accessibility, being accessible to the public. I have an open door policy, and I'm there for the public. If they want to come in and talk to me, I'm available to do that. I see a lot of faces in this audience that I have had in my office come in and speak to me about various things, budget, elections, anything that we do in our office. But really for me, it's being accessible to the public and serving the public. Thank you.
To me, success starts with having happy employees. So, I really want to work with the office. It's a close group of people, and you want them to be looking forward to coming to work every day because they are serving the public. So you need to treat your employees with respect. You need to hope that they're having a good day. If they're not, you want to figure out why and make sure they're in the right mindset to serve the public. And after that, then we look at accessibility to court records. You look at the ability to come in and file a case in the district court. You're usually seeing people on one of their worst days. It's not, the nature of the district court it's not usually a very happy time to be seen. So success to me looks like treating the public with dignity and respect when they're coming in for those really hard situations, and making sure the employees are on that level to be able to treat the public with dignity and respect as well.
success in our office, we pride ourselves on being what we call user-friendly. For example, if you're trying to get passports for the family to take a trip to Mexico and you got kids, mom, dad, and the kids have to be there, and families know how difficult that can be. We'll stay there. You show up at 4:45, 4:55 on a Friday, we'll stay there with you until 5:20, 5:30 and get those done. If you're doing record searches, we're going to show you how to use the public access computer. And we're going to show you that computer can search statewide. So we'll help you find what you need. When you come into our office, and Kayla's absolutely right, if you're in our office, you're probably dealing with child support or a divorce, or maybe you're paying fines on a criminal case you have. We're going to treat you properly. We're going to treat you with respect. And we're going to do everything we can to help you achieve what you need to achieve and not be a bureaucrat and not be an obstacle. We do view ourselves as public servants, and part of that is being user-friendly to achieve that.
Thank you, candidates. Here's another one for all of you, and this time, Tracy, you'll be the starting respondent. Each of you has identified with a political party. Is party affiliation relevant to the office you seek? And if so, how? How will your party affiliation affect your decisions, values, and performance?
My office is heavily financial related. Basically what I do as the treasurer is the chief financial officer of the county. I manage the finances, I do the reporting, I work with auditors, and none of that is guided by Democrat or Republican values. Well, maybe those values are both in there, but I have to listen to the GASB, which is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. I have to listen to state statute. I have to follow all these various laws, and that doesn't leave a lot of room for interpretation. And auditors will hold you to the fire on every one of those doctrines and statements that the GASB puts forth. So I don't feel the partisanship really is required in my position. I guess I don't understand it either as myself, and I kind of wish it was a nonpartisan job, because everything we do serves every single citizen of this county, and it doesn't matter what party you belong to. I don't know if anybody's ever been asked in my office, are you a Democrat? Because I will register you right now. Are you a Republican? No, that's terrible. That's a discrimination, and we don't want that kind of treatment. Everything we do is because we like to be genuine human beings.
Thank you. Mark.
So, I'm a Republican, and I believe what George Washington said is very true. We need to be very careful of political parties. They attract people that want power, and we've seen that in the Republican Party lately. I think the sheriff, the clerk, the treasurer, the assessor should be nonpartisan offices, but I can't change that. But there is political gamesmanship done now. I saw something, I said something. I turned in an affidavit. I became the suspect of the investigation, and the crime that was committed was never investigated. It never should have happened. I had to spend $10,000 to get the video to clear my name. That kind of thing is political gamesmanship and covering your tail. I don't like it. It shouldn't happen. It did. Keys were used. Sharon Cumby handled ballots. She was on. And when I turned that affidavit in, I got a call from Aaron Applehans, the sheriff, and I was made the subject of the investigation, and the crime was never investigated.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. You have identified with a political party as part of this process. Is your party affiliation relevant to the office position you seek? If so, how? How will your party affiliation affect your decisions, values, performance?
Thank you. I am a registered Democrat, but I will tell you that my political party has nothing to do with the way that I run my office. I am governed by Wyoming state statute, and it doesn't matter what party affiliation you are, what gender, what race. I have to help you the same way when you walk into my door. I was actually told yesterday by somebody that they worked 2 elections with me without knowing what party affiliation I was, and I felt pretty darn proud of that, because that to me says that I'm doing my job correctly. Thank you.
I'm running as a Democrat, obviously, for the Clerk of District Court. This is an absolutely nonpartisan job. It doesn't matter who you are, just like all the other offices. When you walk through the door, you're going to be able to file in your case, open your case, pay your child support, get your passport. You're going to be picked for a jury, no matter who you are. It's not like we don't pick based on party affiliation, nothing like that. So I think the position is clearly outlined in Wyoming state statute. There's no wiggle room, and it's an absolutely nonpartisan position.
I'm running as a Republican, and I don't think anybody sitting at this table is in a position to set policy. We are all here to do a job for you. The only policies we're going to set is how well our staff are going to help you if you choose to elect us into this position. And that's really the only policy we have control over. The Clerk of District Court, just like everybody else up here, has to follow the state statutes passed by the legislature, and for us, we follow the rules set by the Supreme Court as far as filing and confidentiality. Nothing that I feel one way or another can change that, and I wouldn't want to change that. Thank you.
I have not thought about my party affiliation as it pertains to my job since 4 years ago. The whole point of our office is to be an unbiased investigatory body. And you can't do that if you're bringing in your personal beliefs and biases. I believe this should be a nonpartisan office. Absolutely, I agree with Dwain. I'm not setting policies out there in the public. I am just trying to do justice for the deceased. And so I absolutely agree that all of these positions should be nonpartisan.
Okay, I have a couple more questions for the county clerk, so I will ask you 2 more, and I'll give you each a chance to respond first. Mark, maybe we start with you on this one. If the SAVE Act becomes law, it will federalize elections and make it harder for people to vote. What actions do you plan on taking to protect our votes?
Well, first of all, I don't think it's going to pass because we have Republicans that aren't going to vote for it. But the SAVE Act, in my understanding, requires you to be a citizen. That should be the case now. And it requires a photo ID. You need a photo ID for most things. It's to increase election integrity. I think that's a good thing. But I don't think we're going to get it. It could get tied to a reconciliation bill and brought through. But I think we have voter ID here in Wyoming. I think we are required to be citizens. I think we basically have the SAVE Act already in place in Wyoming, and it shouldn't be an issue. Kayla and I disagree about the ballot drop boxes. I want them to be more secure than that. I want them to follow the law. 9 of 22 county attorneys, well, there's a few that say no. So I'm on the no side.
In terms of the SAVE Act, we're basically already doing it in Wyoming. We require you to show a photo ID in order to register to vote. You have to be a resident of the state of Wyoming, and you have to be a citizen of the United States. In order to do that, then you can register to vote. I will tell you that when the residency law changed, we had some really nervous people that they were going to be disenfranchised the right to vote. We ensured everybody that that was not the case, and every person that has walked through our door has not had an issue registering to vote. If you are a married woman, you don't have to show us your marriage license. You have a driver's license with your legal name on it. You then can register to vote. So I think people got really nervous thinking that it was going to disenfranchise people the right to vote, but it didn't. I mean, we do everything we can to help voters walk in our door. I mean, we've helped felons get their rights restored, all the way to helping people when they're moving here. We do all that we can, but like I said, we already do it in Wyoming, so I don't see any changes that are going to happen moving forward.
Okay. Next question, and Kayla, you can keep the mic to get started. How do or should our current rules ensure someone can't vote twice, i.e. mail-in and in person?
So right now, we have a statewide voter registration system. So when you register to vote, you go into a statewide voter registration system. Of course, we see our county, but everybody in the state is in this system. We went to e-poll books in 2024. So when you walk in the polls to vote, if you had already voted by mail and we've received your ballot, when you go to check in, it's going to say, oh, you're not eligible to vote. You've already voted. So our systems are linked throughout the state. I mean, it's really all through a computer system. Everybody is linked throughout the state. I think that was the whole question.
Yeah. Great, great. I've got a question for...
Can I answer that question?
I answer
Oh.
first, or is that?
Oh, I'm awfully sorry. Sorry. Of course you can, please.
Yeah, the e-poll books are brand new to the state of Wyoming. I would like to see those expanded to include other states. So there are some states that don't do the e-poll verifications. And so you can vote in Arizona and vote in Wyoming, and the probability of getting caught doing that isn't very high. So if we could have state cooperation where we have e-poll books that verify not just you haven't voted in the state, but you haven't voted in another state, that would be beneficial to election integrity. And I would be in favor of that.
Great, thank you. Tracy, I've got a treasurer question. It's a pretty straightforward one. How will you protect taxpayer dollars?
Ooh, with a gun, no. That's why we have deputies, to help us protect it. No, one of the big things is we do is investments. And investments, recently the legislature, and through I think it was Amendment A 2 years ago on the ballot, gave local authorities and like counties and cities the ability to invest in certain financial tools like equities. I don't feel in our poor county that is a valuable instrument for investment for us. It's not quite as safe, and then there's always who's going to choose which equities to purchase with those investments. So the guiding principles for investing county money is safety first. So everything that we invest in needs to be safe, like highly rated bonds. Mortgage-backed bonds is one we use, and CDs is another investment tool we have. The next one is liquidity, and we might need that funds, 6 months down the road, so we have to have some more liquid investments like a CD or different maturity dates within our portfolio. Another way is We have very strong internal controls. When somebody comes in the door to get their registration, that person at the end of the day balances their money. It goes to a second person who balances the money, and then a third person who counts the money, and then on to the bank. So we have very good internal controls. Sorry, I got a stop sign and I just ran it.
All right, Sally, here's a coroner question. Would you recommend the county provide funding and paid time to participate in training for this office? And can you elaborate on the types of training that are available and how they work?
So, actually, the county does provide me a training budget. It's, it kind of varies from year to year how much gets used. Because each new deputy is required to do 40 hours of basic training is what it's called. Unfortunately, it's currently online since COVID. The police academy no longer provides coroner basic for us, but we do have a reputable online source that we use, and some of the other counties do as well. But they're required that 40 hours initially within a year of their hire date, and then every 2 years after that, they have to do 20 hours of continuing education. Luckily, through our Coroners Association, which was hosted in Cheyenne this year, so all the deputies had an opportunity to go. With our dues of, I think my dues are like $75 or $175 for the association. Anybody associated with my office gets to attend that 32 hours of training for free. And it's usually a lot of speakers, we do some hands-on training, those sorts of things. And so the county does provide me with a budget, but through our association fees, we are also provided some really inexpensive training, but it's really good and it helps collaboration between counties. So, thank you.
Great. Here's a question for everybody. We'll start with Mark to help give the public a sense of how you would function in your office. Please describe to us your work ethic, your approach to organizing an office, and how you deal with roadblocks when you find them in your way.
I have managed 40 engineers and their support staff. I'm a hands-on, walk around, check things out kind of manager. That's what I do. I check in and talk to people, build communication, build relationships, and encourage people to do their best. I think transparency is lacking at this time in the county, and I would increase that immensely. If it isn't strictly forbidden and somebody asks for a public record, I will give it to them. Kayla was called out by a judge who said she erred. I believe that errors have consequences. Elections have consequences. It is vital that the public have a understanding of what the county does. And the only way you get that is with transparency. I would like to run the statistics on public records request and who got the answer and who didn't.
Can you repeat that question? It was a big one.
Okay, sure. To give the public a sense of how you would function in this position, could you describe to us your work ethic, your approach to organizing an office, and how you deal with roadblocks when you find them in your way?
So, roadblocks, I'll start there. You have to work with people. If we encounter an issue in my office, we work with each other. My approach to organization is one bite at a time. There's a lot of responsibilities in the county clerk's office. I am the the secretary of the Board of County Commissioners. We do marriage licenses, titles, land records, payroll and payables. I am the chief election official, and I'm also the chief budget officer. So organization is huge, but I have a great staff and I have people that work with me. And like Mark said, transparency is huge. We've worked really, really hard in the last couple of years. Chelsea and Tracy and I have done town hall meetings, and I think it's been great to be able to explain to the public what we do in our offices and the laws that have changed throughout the years. It's hard. People don't follow the legislature, so we work really, really hard to work with transparency with the public and follow through, I think is something. When you say you're going to do something, follow through and do it. Thank you.
I have had a philosophy since I started that I never say that's not my job. I don't want to pass the buck. I want to find the answer to the question, not just for you, but for myself. So when it comes up again later, you know, I already know the answer. So I think that's my work ethic right there is you never say that's not my job. You never just pass somebody on. You help them find the answer to their question. You get them to the right office. Sometimes they're not even in the right building, and you have to tell them to go down a couple blocks to the municipal building. So I think as far as roadblocks, you know, the team at the district court are phenomenal, and they work together very well. And I really don't think that there's any problem or roadblock that could come up that together we couldn't brainstorm and solve. So I've said the wheels of justice turn slowly enough. Let's not let's not make them move any slower. And I will absolutely continue with that sentiment if I'm elected. Thank you.
As far as the everyday work environment, it's work hard and work smart. Our office was fortunate enough to have a lot of experience. Unfortunately, we lost 35 years of it. Today was Stacy Lamb's last day. When we had roadblocks, we had almost 100 years of experience, clerk experience in that office that we could bounce off of each other and find answers. And if that didn't work, we had assets that we could call. We could contact our judge's office. We could contact Supreme Court. We could contact a number of people that would help us get through that. We try to avoid having roadblocks too. We have a very redundant system set up where the chief deputy and the clerk herself will check we call it our homework. They'll check the work we had done the day before to make sure we were achieving things like serving orders or that passports had been done correctly. The clerk who does the passport is never the clerk who does the passport transmittal. That's one of the ways we double check ourselves to make sure when you need a passport to go to Mexico, it comes through on time and we don't have a mistake on it. So for us, it's a combination of work hard and work smart.
I've learned over the last 10 years that this job really requires you to be able to be flexible and roll with the punches because you just really never know what you're going to get. Every case has a different something with it. And with that, I still do a standard investigation for all of the cases regardless of the suspected cause and manner of death. I try to standardize how I go about my process. So I make it a point to make sure I get my exam done fairly quickly, thoroughly, but in a timely manner, get autopsies scheduled in a timely manner so that the grieving process for those families can start and they can start working on saying goodbye to their loved ones appropriately. And then comes all the reports and paperwork and those sorts of things. And I work very chronologically, so I'm usually, when I don't have a case right in front of me demanding that exam, the recent discussions that have to happen, I'm working on older cases and trying to wrap those up so I can make sure death certificates are signed within 8 weeks, but then also those families have some closure and can move forward. And so I know I touch every case that comes through my door regardless of being on scene. I talk to every family regardless of being on scene. And so it does bog it down a little bit, but I think every case deserves the same amount of interest and investigation.
I was raised a small town Nebraska farm girl. And working on a farm teaches you hard work and work ethic, at least from my father. I don't know about other fathers, but my father demanded it. And that's just carried on into the rest of my life. Any job worth doing is worth doing well and to the best of my ability. I can tell you that most days I am the first one in the building, and oftentimes I'm on the last one out, because I'll get roadblocks or interrupted constantly throughout the day. If I have a taxpayer come in, that's the most important thing on my plate right at that moment. I want to answer all their questions. I want that time to help them sort through whatever it is that they need. So I'm going to stay late to get my rest of my job that has to be done because I have a deadline with the state the next day or in a week, whatever the case is. With that, interruptions and roadblocks as such, you have to be organized. I have a to-do list that's got a running to-do list for the entire year, and it's so fun to check things off a to-do list too. It's my favorite. But it's my name going out there on the door. It's on your tax bill. It's on your motor vehicle cards. And I don't want to ever do a poor job where you guys just don't ever elect me again. That would be sad. I love my job.
We are at 8:31, and the League of Women Voters has a closing announcement to make. So, but I just want to thank everybody for your attention, for your questions, and let's thank the League, our timekeepers, and most of all, our candidates for this good discussion.
Just a couple housekeeping remarks. Well, one other. We want to thank the library again for helping us host this in their wonderful new renovated room here, and Rachel Crocker specifically for doing all the tech support tonight, even though it's not her main library position. And we want to remind people that the League has an electronic resource now called Vote 411, which is the electronic version of our usual voter guide. So we pose our questions to all the candidates, invite them to respond, and people can go to Vote 411, learn more at that table back there, and you can see who's responded yet, learn about your candidates online. And next week, please join us for our forum on Wyoming House districts, districts 13, 14, 45, and 46. Now we want to invite the audience to converse with our lovely candidates here as we put things away. Oh yeah, and just for clarity, everything on Vote 411 is going to appear in the boomerang on our regular voter guide, which will be published on July 22nd. Okay, thanks for joining us, everyone. Talk amongst yourselves.